My name is Kevin Howard. I'm a sophomore, class of 2015. In terms of the new marketing campaign, how do you two feel that it has addressed the perception of the college as an institute of higher education, and do you think there's room for improvement?
We'll go to Speaker Hammer first, 2 minutes.
All right, thanks. First to start off, I believe that we addressed a little bit of that before. Not to your credit, of course, for bringing it back up, because it was not an issue that we sussed out enough. I think there's good and bad in the marketing campaign. I think the good is that we've updated our image in terms of not exactly what we're professing ourselves to be, but also just generally. I mean, if you see the pamphlets we were handing out compared to what we were handing out 3 years ago, they're dramatically different. Any tour guide can tell you that everything looks better on campus since the new marketing campaign. Our new pamphlets don't, feature IBM computers from the 1980s. They have students that go here. I mean, it's just things like that. Things like that are great, and I think that those things are what we need to be focusing on in the marketing campaign in terms of the good. There is the bad, though. I feel like the Go Exploring campaign, in general, and also the fact that we don't have a motto, is a bad thing. I feel like where leaders are made should have kept the motto. I feel like exploring and leading are actually two sides of the same coin. Because if you're going somewhere where no one's gone before, you're exploring, but you're also leading. I feel like those two weren't incompatible, but they made them not necessarily incompatible when they just took out the original title. So I feel like there's good and bad for the campaign, and it has actually been good with actually getting freshman students to send in their applications. But I would question whether it's the content or the way it's presented. So I hope that answers your question.
President Wilkinson, 2 minutes for the same question.
All right, the marketing campaign, it's new, and it's going to raise some eyebrows, but I mean, like Speaker Hammer said, it is bringing students, to life on campus. Our camera guy is actually on the side of Science Hall, but oh my gosh, I don't know why I said that. But I think that Go Exploring and skip class, that was the most controversial statement that was only sent out as a test run to clarify it. But exploring really brings our Jesuit ideals on campus. Like St. Peter Canisius, he was an explorer in broad terms. But it's about exploring yourself spiritually, academically, well, mentally actually would be the right word for that. But just being an explorer to the best of your ability. And it doesn't mean going out randomly with a backpack, like going to hike up Mount Kilimanjaro. It means being here, reading that book, finding your passion, and doing something with it in the real world. Because what we do here is send leaders out into the world. On my lobbying trip to Albany, there are so many people there who respected Canisius. And no other college got that type of rapport. And just by the name itself. And I think that means a lot. And why they're over there doing what they got to do is because they had a great experience here and they became leaders. And we are missing a slogan, but we did get rid of the college part. And the reasoning for that was because we're going to try and become a university. And I think the first thing people hear nationally when they hear Canisius is bam, right in Buffalo in the center, the best college in New York State. I yield.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, my name is Bashar Salib. I'm a senior. My question is, during our 3-hour meetings and in a group of people where everyone has a diverse background, how do you plan as a leader, as the president, to overcome to diffuse the tension between everyone in the room? What leadership styles will you bring to the table?
All right, just for clarification, Bashar Salib being a senior senator is referring to Senate meetings. The question will go to Brock Wilkinson first, 2 minutes.
Leadership to me is it's an interesting thing because there's multiple ways to attack it. There's multiple ways to, just do what you can with the authority that's given to you. And basically as president, I have to start out every single Senate meeting. Speaker though speaks the most. But, I open with a report. And basically my report, depending on the vibe that I give off, affects the Senate meeting for generally a good 20-30 minutes, because if I don't come off as, positive about the day, it goes and it kind of spreads. And so basically, it's really influential about how you start off a meeting. And my leadership style, I've come to find out over that learning curve that I mentioned 3 times, is I like to work with people one-on-one. And the reason why I like doing that is because you get to talk with them, get to see what they're like, get to see what their passions are, get to see how how they think. And if you get to know how each individual thinks, and then you see how people interact in a group, it really changes the whole dynamic of the room from my perspective. And if I can be able to judge the vibe that's coming from the room, I can really control how decisions are made and how effective we are when it comes to meetings. Now, I wouldn't have said this last semester. I would have had no idea how to answer that question. But the fact that I've seen this happen and I've really come to terms with it, I know how to hold a positive atmosphere coming next year if I'm reelected. But, I think that leadership is interesting.
Thank you. Speaker Hammer, 2 minutes for the same question.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate, the question was basically how to deal with diverse opinions, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So I'd like to start with addressing that. I said the best way to deal with diverse opinions is to ensure an open debate, which is something that I try to do every single Senate meeting. It's especially painful for me because most of them are 3 hours, a lot. It seems that we're actually moving towards a Senate where we have to discuss a lot of issues, a lot at once. Unfortunately, that's somewhat necessary sometimes. We have issues that we need to talk out, and I also can set the limits on debate. That's another prerogative of my speaker. But at the same time, I can't shut off debate, and I don't want to, until everybody has their diverse opinion expressed. And I feel like until we get to the point where everybody is redundant and just saying the same thing over and over again, there's a huge value in just talking intellectually and debating, which is also why we're here. Also, I just wanted to touch on something that started off your answer, Mr. Wilkinson. Personally, my leadership style is I like to be a leading facilitator. Like I said before, I like to set the agenda, but I also like to be surrounded by great people who can actually actualize that agenda along with me. Having a committed team is great, in which I feel like this year and many other years we've had fantastic e-boards. But also, I would say that it's difficult to lead sometimes. But when you are a leader, you have to make tough choices, and you have to say the student's opinion regardless of how you feel about it. So during those 3-hour meetings, a lot of the times I see that we're saying the same things over and over again. And sometimes after the president's report and the EVP's report, and we're all done with reports, a lot of these people don't actually say anything for the rest of the meeting. It's driven by 3 or 4 committed individuals. So I would say that I would try to represent the student's opinion, and that would be my leadership style. I conclude.
Thank you. Next question.
Hello. My name is James Vincent. I am a freshman, class of 2016. Let's see. Let's see. I'm gay and I'm black and I'm considered a minority. And I work in the Office of Disability Support Services. And I see that a lot of times when I tell people that I go to Canisius, they're like, "Why do you go to Canisius? You're gay and black." And that's, I'm like, I love Canisius. I sweat in Canisius. But a lot of people see that as a bad thing. And I want to know, how do you guys feel that you'll be an advocate for that little guy that's like, "You know Canisius, really?" Because we have this whole thingy about Canisius.
Thank you. This question will go to Speaker Hammer first, 2 minutes.
All right. Actually, I feel like I can really do a good job addressing your question. Over the last week or so, I've been visiting a lot of diverse communities. I see that Sterling's here, and I'm not going to try to call him out, but I tried to actually go to his meeting and the Afro Society and actually ask them. I didn't ask for the vote. What I asked them is how I can improve diversity on campus and actually make it easier for students of minority backgrounds to integrate into campus. We discussed a number of issues, and I'm going to try to actually work on those over the course of the year. A couple of them being better support in terms of diversity committee and justice. We're reaching out to the constituencies that affect those most. Also, I'd say that I've reached out to a number of other communities. I've reached out to Unity. I went to discuss Alyssa Razzo, a lot of you know her. I discussed with her issues that affect Unity. And I feel like I have a good take on what we need to do to go in the direction of improving life for minority students and to make sure that everybody's accepted as Canisius. Gentlemen and lady, thank you.
President Wilkinson?
Now, I'm part of Sigma Phi Epsilon, and it's been diverse when in the LG, well, not L, but you know, in the gay community, we've had a diverse group of guys, and you know, personally, I have no problem with it, and I do work a lot with, like, we've had e-board members in Unity, and we've had people, you know, partake in those activities, but I was really upset about not having the gay Fine By Me shirts this year. I really wanted one, and they didn't have my size last year. But no, what I'm gonna really do though is I'm gonna work closely with the Justice Chair for next year. I mean, I've restated this, that I'm gonna work closely with the committee chairs, and I mean it. Like, we're gonna make sure that that community is represented, and I'm gonna have an open door policy once again. And I think one of the main things that I'm going to do is that when I have a set time, at least once or twice a week, I'm going to purchase myself, you know, like outside this career center, they have that little thing they put outside the door when drop-in hours. Basically, there's going to be drop-in hours if I'm reelected where anybody can come in and people are going to actually notice it and see it. Or I'm just going to be out in the hall saying hey to people. Like, but that's definitely the two main things I'm going to do, and I'm going to work closely with the VP of Business and Finance for, you know, funding of Unity and make sure we're properly representing that group, because I don't want to leave any group out. Any group. Thank you.
I actually have a follow-up question for both of you. On that subject, this year, and as it currently stands, in terms of racial diversity, the current Senate is, you could say, lacking. At the present moment, actually, we've had trouble filling the position of diversity chair because of resignations. This lack of racial diversity is something that has received criticism from members of the student body. Do each of you see this as a concern, or do you more see it as something that will come up, ebb and flow as different students apply for different positions? We'll go to Speaker Hammer first.
All right, just to clarify, are you talking about the general body of the Senate, or are you talking about the diversity chair?
The Senate and diversity chair. Take it how you will.
Okay, I'm going to take it as diversity committee. I would say that that's very important. I'd say, yes, I'm very concerned. I feel like that is a position that needs to be given to someone that actually has the background to appreciate it and to actually work with that position to create better opportunities. Like I said before, and I touched on before, I want diversity committee to work closer with the organizations that actually deal with the same thing. Like Alana, Afro-American Society, LASA, every cultural club on campus. I want deeper involvement from, you know, between both of those organizations and all of them. I feel like if we were to do that, I feel like we would actually have a better chance of being a more diverse campus and actually implementing policies that make life easier for diverse students.
Thank you. President Wilkinson, you have 1 minute.
When we lost our diversity chair, we sent an email out to the Alana Center to try and fill that. We didn't really get a strong response, and then we sent it out to this entire student body, and we did what we could. But as a student government, we just have to take the individuals that are motivated to do it, and if our diversity chair happens to not be one of those diverse ethnicities, we can't do anything about it. What I can say is that for next year, we're going to elect one, and I'm going to work closely with them to make sure that their duties are withheld and to hold them accountable and make sure that we have diversity events, because I like International Week. I like it when the dining hall serves a different type of food every day of the week. I just think that it's an important thing. I yield.
Thank you, President Wilkinson. We'll move on to our next question.
He got called out.
My name is Sterling South. I'm a senior psychology major. So tonight we have heard both of your opinions on a lot of different stances, and it seems like to me that both of you are closely related. Like both of your opinions are almost the same on a lot of these issues. Why should I'm sorry, John. Why should we vote for you, Brock, over Eric, and same thing for you, Eric? Why should we vote you, Eric, over Brock? Like, what makes you two stand apart from each other?
We're going to go to President Wilkinson first.
Okay. This will be my second year if I'm reelected by the student body. And basically, I'm going to go in just like Barack Obama, except Brock. And I'm going to make sure that I set tangible goals for next year. And by doing this, I set up coffee talks to try and meet with everybody one-on-one. I started getting busy, and I still have a few left. And I'm going to accomplish that at the end of the year, whether I get reelected or not. But I am going to have a set of tangible goals, and over the summer, I'm going to work with the Finance Committee to make sure that things are audited properly and everything's in place. Now, I already told you that I wanted to work on the transparency of Senate on campus. And basically, I know next year, or within the next month, I'm still working with the e-board, but we're going to make sure to have Senate dinners where we're going to be in the dining hall, hanging out, having a good time. And so people actually see us with our polos, and they see that we're actual humans that eat food, and we're not robots that take like oil and pills. But now, I'm going to make sure that I'm involved with all the event planning processes. I'm going to make sure I work with the VP of Student Programming. And I'm going to send monthly checkup emails with all the committee chairs and reps. And I'm going to make sure that they're accomplishing the goals that they came to me and talked to me about previously in the semester. I'm going to make sure to work with Griffin TV to make sure that that the student body is represented by whatever happenings in Senate. That I can make sure Griffin TV knows and can report on it, because right now that's missing. I know that I said something about elections week with Griffin TV, but I want to continue that. And also, I want to have a Senate spotlight in the Griffin newspaper. This was brought to me by freshman Senator Kayla Prue, and you know what? That was a great idea, and you know what? I'm going to follow up on that. And I want to make sure that my Canisius has the Griffin TV, The Wire, and still has a link to the Griffin, just to make sure all the media outlets of Canisius is brought to Canisius students conveniently.
Thank you. Speaker Hammer, same question.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start off by talking about my position for this year. When I first became Speaker of the Senate, I actually set tangible goals. You can find them on your website if you go to canisiususa.com. One of them was to create a succession package for next year. Another one was to create a training packet. There were a few other ones I don't even need to mention because I don't have time. But I accomplished those early on in the semester, and I moved on. I merged the rules and the bylaws to the larger documents of the Senate. I also worked with the Rules Committee, and I established ethics stipulations in the actual charter and constitution. I set goals, and I accomplished them. And that is what I want to take into next year. And I think that makes me the candidate. Because I feel like this year, we've kind of been drifting. We haven't exactly had goals until December. And they weren't even set by the e-board. No offense to the e-board, of course. I love it well. But still, I would say that the defining characteristic would be I would create goals and actually follow through with them. And I have a history of it, so you can be sure that I'm going to do so. And I think that's what differentiates me. Also, I intend to work for every single person. I intend to represent the student voice for every single student. Not just the vast majority, but every single voice. Thank you.
Thank you both. Next question.
There's a lot of questions going around, but we are going to be drawing to a close in just a few minutes, so we're going to take 2, maybe 3 if we're feeling up to it.
Thanks, John. Hi, my name is Christina. I'm a senior. My question is, I guess, a little bit of background. It's my club, and it was the VP of my club, the wonderful Marielle Klein, who was trying to bring Zach Waltz this year. And she had to personally go to the Dean of Students and discuss what was going on, her and another student. And my feeling is that the President of USA should be the bridge between the administration and the students. And I feel like that's been what's lacking in the past couple of years, not just the past year, Rod. So my question is, what more are you going to do to make sure that you are not only, keeping Senate in line, making sure budgets are okay, but being that representative for the student to the administration, and also bringing what the administration says back to the students and not just to Senate meetings?
We're going to go to Speaker Hammer first. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first off, I'd like to say that I'm kind of a talkative person. Brevity is not exactly my strong suit. But that being said, the reason why I like to talk to people is because I like to communicate how I feel and how other people feel and get exactly what they feel and then try to hash out a compromise from that. I promise that I will talk to the administration about issues like this and advocate, as I said before, for every student issue. I wish that this year had been like that. I wish that we had been able to do that. I wish we had been able to advocate for student issues the way that we should. Every single organization on this campus actually deserves. But the way that I would do it is going physically with you guys and talking to them. I feel like this is a student concern that doesn't just involve your club. I feel like it's one that involves the entire student campus and everyone has an opinion. So I feel like I want to represent that student voice that's currently not being heard. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Hammer. President Wilkinson, you have 2 minutes.
All right, well, Marielle is an exception to the rule. She has the most knowledge on that topic. And me going in to see Dean Mangione and talk about Zach Walls when I have no idea what's going on, I mean, I could read up on it, but that's not going to be efficient. Have Marielle going because she's passionate about it and she knows the topic like the back of her hand. That seemed more appropriate. I'm here for the students and I make sure that their voice is heard. And when I go to these administrative meetings, I go back and I tell Senate. It's not my job. Like, I personally try to tell students what's going on. But the Senate is there as a representative for each class for a reason, to go back and tell their class what happened. But there is a lot of administrative problems going on. I realize that. As a student government leader, I can make that known to students, and I have let Senate know, but we have to focus on the positives. And a lot of club leaders are busy running their own club, as it is. I don't want to bog them down with random facts and figures like that, but I can promise that if a student concern comes up, that it will be addressed. I'm sorry if I did not talk to Dean Mangione about Zach Walls, but I do understand where the issue came from. And it's hard to try and make everybody happy. I understand that. But yeah, Marielle is very smart.
We have time for one more question. Who's hand can go up higher?
If open way.
Okay.
Hello, both candidates. My name is Brian Almsinger. I'm a senior here at Canisius. My question is, many of the issues that have been tackled in Senate this year have been brought about by the senior class. In addition, most of the Council of Presidents is comprised of seniors. Do you feel as though the senior class overall is trying to implement policies for which the ramifications are felt by the underclassmen next year? Or do you feel as though it is the wise trying to seek what is best for the students in college in general?
All right, in order to get both of these last 2 questions in, let's just do 1-minute answers. So, Speaker Hammer, you have 1 minute.
All right. I would say that even though the impacts are felt by us, just as they are for this election, seniors can't vote in this election. That's the thing. And I feel like them being here for 3 years, they have a good idea of what needs to happen on this campus. That being said, I don't feel like it's a bad thing that people are taking initiative, but I do think it's a bad thing that they need to. I feel like it's a bad thing that they aren't actually putting their energies towards things that they desire and just talking about general issues in the Senate. So I feel like the senior class has done a great job this year in terms of setting the agenda, but I feel like they shouldn't have to. Thank you. MC.
President Wilkinson, you have 1 minute.
The seniors are the wise, old men and women, but I do see their point of view, and a lot of their actions are credible. and a lot of the things that they're bringing up may be like a little bit of a legacy, you know, that might be the motivator, but as undergraduates, we made it to Canisius. We're not stupid. I mean, if it was an issue that was not appropriate for the student body, it would just be, you know, thrown out. I think the seniors do know what they're talking about, and a lot of the issues that they're bringing up because they've seen for the past 3 years and they haven't been addressed. And I think that it's smart for underclassmen to look up to them, and whether or not it is for a legacy, you know, legacies are remembered.
Thank you. Let's get our last question.
Pertaining to Dan, a senior, pertaining a little bit to Zach Walls, being canceled last year, I know Chair Gillette met personally with Dr. Mangione and supposedly ironed out a plan so it didn't happen again. We all know it happened again. And so come to find out after Senate on Tuesday that one club booked a speaker without having the funds allocated before signing a contract. So without laying blame on anybody, we see that there's some clear problems in booking speakers with student clubs. How, as president, are you going to address that in the next year? Thank you.
President Wilkinson, you have 1 minute.
All right. The responsibilities do come on the e-board. Mainly for this one, it would be me and the VP of Business and Finance. Contracts, I guess, should not be allowed until they receive funding for it. That would be the most appropriate action to take. This does, you know, make things difficult, and it'll put more pressure on the Finance Committee to approve something quick, so that, you know, some speakers you have to contact months behind, and you don't know if the Finance Committee has time to, you know, look it over. That's the ambiguity with that issue, and I think something needs to be laid out, and I will be willing to work with the VP of Business and Finance and the opinions of the student body along with the Finance Committee to figure out the best action to take on that issue. I yield.
Speaker Hammer, 1 minute.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say I was there at the meeting last night, and I honestly feel like clubs booking speakers and anything really before they get the money is ridiculous. They're acting like the student government's already given them authorization to go do so. And I feel like that's insulting a little bit to our ability to choose. Because that's what we are. We're there to actually we're there to articulate exactly what we want for the student body. And I feel like we need to not allow this. I think clubs should not be allowed to do this. And I feel like it's twisting our arm. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now wrap up with closing statements. During opening statements, Speaker Hammer went first. During closing statements, we'll begin with President Wilkinson. President Wilkinson, you have up to 3 minutes.
All right, so I didn't really prepare a closing statement. I didn't even prepare an opening statement. But I'm going to say, there's always room for improvement, and there was major issues that came up this year. I mean, this year has been crazy. Along with all the administrative things, the issues that administration has been dealing with, we've also had to deal with student criticism for the marketing campaign. We had to deal with funding for the Metro passes. Certain things like that haven't been dealt with by student government in years. And the fact that we upheld, the e-board and the student government withheld all these different issues and made everything all right, everything's golden right now, looks like it. But, I mean, we did a good job maintaining the status quo. And we're going to continue to provide that stability for the students. And I don't think anything's wrong with Canisius, and I'm sick of people thinking that Canisius is like a bad place to be. Like, everybody should be fortunate to be here. I mean, every time I walk on campus, it's awesome. But unless there's like snowstorm or something. But I really do enjoy it here, and there are a lot of things changing. Like, we're getting a new platform for Angel. We're getting a new platform for that. That's even new. I haven't even seen it yet because I was at a meeting, but I really think that the administration is doing a good job, and as a student government leader, we just have to make sure the clubs are happy, because the clubs make up the majority of the students that go here. And then Senate makes up almost, like, that counts for every single market that attends Canisius. And you know, the administration has been dealing with a retention rate that's beginning to, you know, lose strength. And I think a lot of it is, actually I don't know what it is, a lot of it's probably the bad economy, but our job as student leaders is to make sure that we attract students here and make sure that they're having a good time. And I think a lot of that is going to be seen at the next accepted students day. And I think a lot of it's going to be held with just campus events, making sure that the freshmen now are enjoying their time here. We have Relay for Life on the 12th of April. We're going to have Spring Fest on May 3rd. And let's just have a good time, guys. It's college. And you know, let me worry about these issues as you've seen right now. But I really do believe that Canisius is a great place. And I want to make a difference here on campus. And just by motivating my e-board, student government, constituents, and just setting a positive attitude is what I'm going to do here. And just think there's unlimited possibilities here. Thank you.
Thank you, President Wilkinson. Speaker Hammer, you will have 3 minutes for your closing statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wiltsey. First off, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming to this debate tonight. Especially for, it's almost an hour and a half now. But I hope that everyone will leave this room a more informed voter with a better idea of who we are and what we stand for. You're here because you care. When I applied to colleges almost 4 years ago, I visited 23 colleges up and down the Eastern Seaboard and in the Midwest. I applied to 12, but then I chose to come here. And I can tell you there's nowhere quite like Canisius. I believe this is the greatest school, not simply because we have a beautiful campus, long-standing traditions, and robust programs. But at the risk of sounding cliche, I believe we're the best because we attract the best people. Community is strong, and regardless of what we hang on our banners, pamphlets, and signage, I firmly believe that Canisius College is still where leaders are made. The Senate has, however, become too far removed from the students they're supposed to represent. It's time to remind the Senate this is not just our school. This is not just my school. This is everyone's school. I know many of you have amazing ideas that can make this incredible school even better. But up until this point, you had no way of voicing your concerns in a way that they'd be heard. I want to take these ideas and use them to guide the direction of the Senate. It's time for your voices to be heard, and I want to be your advocate. This past year, senatorial goals were not set until Christmas, and they only became because of seniors. They came together to encourage goal setting. Indeed, the narrative of this year has been one of smaller successes through individual efforts of dedicated seniors and other senators. This is simply not good enough. It's not good executive leadership. It's not clarity of vision. It's not even leading from behind. Leadership is proactive, not simply reactive. I said that originally, but what I mean is that a good leader doesn't wait for problems to come. He actively looks for potential issues and then tries to resolve them. A leader isn't someone who simply makes good decisions. He sets a clear agenda that benefits his constituents and follows through on those goals. That is leadership with direction, and that's what you deserve. In terms of what I can promise the students, the only grandiose promise I'll make tonight is I'll give you my Majus. Majus means more. I learned that on my first day of student orientation, and it stuck with me. Always give your Majus. For me, it means giving you the proactive leadership you deserve. It means leading by example by personally visiting club meetings and leaders. It means taking the already existing program structures and expanding them to reach more students, involving students that would be otherwise detached from campus. It means gathering undergraduate issues directly from each one of you. It means setting a clear agenda early in the year and then following through with it. And above all else, it means taking your ideas and giving them wings and then letting them fly. I know what it takes to return student government to the students, and I'm ready to lead from day one. It's time for someone to work for you. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Speaker Hammer, and thank you, President Wilkinson. On behalf of my co-moderator, Jonathan Beck, I'd like to also thank all of you for coming out here today to watch this debate, as well as being interactive participants in it. This concludes our 2013 presidential debate. Thank you all for coming.